Florida resident Candace Spivey was shopping at Target when she was approached by a stranger. This man started a polite conversation with her, but something was wrong. The same man had done this same thing to her earlier at a grocery store.
Do you remember running into me in the grocery store? No, hey, where are you going? Come back. Hey, get this guy. Stop him. Stop this guy. Stop him. Stop that guy. Call the cops. Call the cops on him! Call the cops!
As soon as she confronts the man on it, he takes off and she follows him out of the store. Apparently, this was a registered offender who secretly recorded women. This just goes to show you never know who the real person is behind a polite stranger. Hopefully, this man stopped his horrible actions after being publicly confronted like this. There's a YouTube channel called The Ghosts of Mississippi that goes to great lengths to debunk supposedly paranormal hotspots. You may remember an incredible video of theirs that I analyzed at the Wolf Manor in Clovis, California, in which a cross pushes itself through the floor. Anyway, the point is these paranormal investigators aren't afraid to travel across the nation for a good investigation, and that's the kind of dedication that makes their channel the real deal. With that said, there's another series of haunting videos of theirs that I want to focus on, ones that center around a haunted church that's in their home state, a place they've investigated often. On December 19th, 2019, they enter the church and begin addressing any spirits nearby. They apologize for the condition of the church and show genuine sympathy. Then, after establishing a certain level of trust, they make a small request of anything listening.
I just make one loud noise.
Of course, he could have just dragged his own foot across the floor to make the sound, so this alone isn't conclusive evidence of a ghost. But when they get out the spirit box and start asking questions, they get two clear answers. Here's the first.
Alright, do you want to speak to me now?
And when he pretends not to understand, there's a second note that sounds like it's not coming from the spirit box, but from a row of pews further back.
Yes?
Yes?
Even if this spirit box is a little more than random responses from radio airwaves, the odds of hearing nope twice and in perfect timing with a question are slim to none in my opinion. Orbs begin to dance all around, and then it gives a name, which I can barely hear, so I'm not so sure about this one.
Kevin, I heard that.
This follow-up cry for help, however, is about as clear as can be. And I think it's creepy how it waits an appropriate amount of time to reply, and I don't think the orbs dancing all around are a coincidence. Then there's this strange shadow figure in the stall, seen at around 9 minutes. Is this Kevin the spirit, or is this the thing that Kevin was asking for help against? Just a couple weeks later, on January 5th, 2020, they return to the church for a closer look. This time, as one of them kneels down to look at the mirror, this creepy image of an evil entity forms before their very eyes.
So stand up, you can't sleep.
Dude, I'm seeing something demonic.
On the right side of the mirror is what they describe as a demonic image peeking in. You can see its hands raised, and if you pause at 3 seconds, there's also 2 eyes and a small open mouth. When he stands up, the figure disappears and does not return. Of course, this could simply be a dirty mirror, but according to the investigator kneeling down, he felt something grab his hat, and when they shine their light on the mirror to try and recreate it, they can never make the figure return. Roaming cold spots begin to pass over them, and they decide to leave before anything else happens. But on the way out, I hear a hiss at 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Freaking. Dude.
And as they reach the final room, they hear a warning sound from deeper within that I have no explanation for other than the paranormal. This sounds like no animal I have ever heard, and I can practically hear the hate in his guttural growl. They search for the source of the growl for just a moment longer, and then decide to get out of there fast. With so many sounds and sightings in such a short period of time, I have little doubt that something horrifying lurks within these walls. Its very existence is a defilement of this location, but perhaps that's exactly why this demonic force has chosen to make this place its new home, and I doubt it's leaving anytime soon. A Ring camera caught yet another attempted intruder in the act, actually this time too. Published to YouTube in a Ring cam video by Full Moon Crazies in July of 2019, the surveillance camera was placed behind a lamp and captures a pair of thieves going into a home during the Christmas season. The thieves are partially hiding their faces with their hoodies, and they seem to spy the Ring camera right away, as they look directly at it. After gathering some backpacks, likely filled with the taken goods, one of the intruders can be seen knocking the camera down to avoid its capturing further incriminating footage, but he didn't totally succeed. 2 more intruders are caught on camera entering the room from the hallway. The clip ends without further explanation. These intruders more than likely made off like bandits, but we can only hope this video evidence was enough to catch them. Either way, this cost them Christmas, as they were sure to end up on Santa's naughty list. Number 2, The Family Portrait. Reddit user Buttery Lou submitted a short story and photos about an alleged ghost capture during a family photo. Buttery Lou explained, "A friend of mine was at a family party where these 2 photos were taken. Someone, I'm guessing an aunt or mom, wanted a picture of all the cousins together, so they posed outside on the porch. In the second photo, you can pretty easily make out an apparition of a man and a dog in the window looking out at the kids. The photo does not appear to be altered, but unfortunately no other info is given. The comments in the thread have discussed the possibility of it being either a friend or family member who unintentionally photobombed the photo, or possibly a spirit. The original poster has not provided any more information, nor replied to any of the comments, so whether or not the photo includes something paranormal is left for the viewers to decide." Have you ever seen videos on social media that were so concerning that you considered calling the cops? A Redditor explains that this days-old TikTok account is posting disturbing videos. He writes that the video's creator keeps posting 15-second clips over several days, and that neither viewers nor the platform appear to have alerted authorities. The clip, posted by Mandy, shows a woman on a baby cam crying while having her hair brushed by a man. When her head droops, he lifts her chin back up to face the camera. Some in the comments say that it's so creepy they can't even watch. Excited Koalas 29 mentions, "If y'all look at the people they're following, this starts to look like a new horror account. They're following a lot of verified users, as well as celebrities. That's always a good sign that it's fake." Although Koalas says he isn't trying to discredit the clip, which could potentially be real, we hope that he is right, that it's some sort of horrible horror fiction. Other clips posted by Mandy shows the girl as well. In one of them, the girl is wringing her hands before being fed something from a man off screen, who then pets her hair. Another clip shows her rocking back and forth, and in yet another, she seems to be eating something off the ground. Redditor Jula Mad weighs in. "The content is gross one way or another and needs to be reported to the authorities. If this is real, then I definitely agree. But as the other Redditor pointed out, there's a good chance it isn't." A YouTuber named Zerjohn pokes around on the dark web. Soon he finds himself reading some extremely bizarre tutorials that leave him stunned.
He's like tutorials on how to like eat people and cook them. It's like it's a regular thing for these people. Look at this. Whole article on how to, do that.
I don't think Zerjohn would ever do anything like this himself, but as I watch his curious reaction to the materials, I can't wonder how many other people have been actually introduced to this in exactly the same manner. Vadim Vadimich is a Russian YouTuber who often explores the radioactive remains of Chernobyl, an abandoned power plant that went into meltdown during the 1980s. On this journey, he and his friends find an abandoned daycare center that seems quite haunted. One of the first things they find are 2 dolls. One is headless and the other has poked-in eyes, shaded black all around, as if someone was pressing down aggressively hard as they scribbled. It's not a welcoming sign, but could just be the work of some edgy teens, or maybe even someone in their own group, so they press on. Across from the dolls is this picture of a Russian team all huddled around a strange object in the center. I don't know what this is in the middle, so someone help me out because it might be a clue. I assume this was a picture of the kids who used to come here before the meltdown. Who knows how many, if any, actually made it to adulthood due to the radioactive exposure. Immediately behind the photo is a creepy old picture of a Russian woman in full uniform crying. I don't understand the significance of this picture, but I feel like they are saying something important here. So translate this part from Russian to English if you can.
Сколько его не убирали, смотри на этом. Офигеть. Здесь уже люди сколько не были.
After a while, it becomes apparent that they are all being watched. These white eyes first appear on the other side of a window at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I thought it was just his light, until I realized the light is hitting his chest and shouldn't be visible behind him at all. And here at 3 minutes and 52 seconds, the eyes appear again in a doorway, much closer. It's just for a split second, but I mean, whose flashlight looks like that? Nobody's that I know. Those look like eyes for sure, glowing ones at that. They come across a portion of building they've explored before, but this time the door is partially opened, so they cautiously step inside. The first thing I noticed were these floating eyes at 7 minutes and 56 seconds. They look exactly the same size and shape as the ones before, but what they saw was the top of someone's head, someone incredibly tall and standing totally still. Standing motionless is a figure with a blacked out face and long white garbs. They run away and soon encounter it again. Its white clothes somewhat resemble the doll clothes we saw earlier. Could that have been a warning? When it gets close to them, it seems shorter than before, but impossibly broad-shouldered and powerful looking. I don't know why they let it get this close, but I guess they were frozen in place from fear and tired from running. I hope this was just a mannequin or something, but when it does this, I know it's far from a prop.
Да, Вадим, уйди назад.
The group retreats back inside, and now cornered eventually resorts to smashing through a window and takes a risk climbing through broken glass just to get away from whatever they just saw. So I think it's real. A YouTuber named Grasshopper222 captures an outbreak of paranormal proportions in his house when he goes on a short vacation. A brand new security cam system meant to monitor his housekeeper instead records some of the scariest CCTV moments of his life that makes him come home sooner than normal. This creepy doll is the first of many objects caught moving by itself. Grasshopper222 thinks a ghost moves it, but I think someone could be hiding around the corner with a string, so I wouldn't exactly call this solid paranormal evidence. At 2 minutes, the doll appears to wave hello, so that's weird. Unless that's just where the string is tied, then it's fake. It's too bad he doesn't include video of the other room to show no one is there. Anyway, this barely noticeable glare is a reflection from where the television turns on, either by itself or with a remote control. A cushion is thrown off the couch and another object falls over by itself soon after, both of which could be on strings. But look again at how the water bottle moves, or more specifically how it lands. At 43 seconds, the falling object appears to catch on nothing, almost like a ghost pushed it over and caught it in midair. Meanwhile, in the other room, a ghost opens the door and slams it shut. Then the ghost moves more objects. A cabinet, cup, red box, and other household objects all move on their own. But there's one big problem, something that just doesn't quite add up. The camera angle looks slightly different than before. So unless the housekeeper readjusted the camera, I think this amateur ghost video might not be real after all. Then again, with all of the other creepy stuff flying around, I guess the moving camera is also well within its capabilities. This grainy black and white video was supposedly taken back in 1999 when the internet was still in its early stages of development. A woman has apparently been chosen against their will for a Red Room show, which is where people make suggestions as to what should happen to her next. Kind of like a more interactive version of the movie Saw. She is clearly in distress, though I'm not sure if this is real or just acting. The scene seems realistic enough to make me uncomfortable, but I'd like to get your opinion as to what is going on here. She could be a paid actress, and this could be from a movie for all I know. We may never discover the real answer unless more of the video surfaces from the deep. In July of 1973, Clara and Phil Dandy moved into this unassuming farmhouse bordering the woods of Hinsdale, New York, thinking that it would be a nice cozy place to raise their children. They would hardly last for more than a year. Their troubles began within days of moving in. Minor annoyances like constant hang-up phone calls and cabinet doors getting left open, and then not so minor things like a soft chanting coming from deep in the woods. Soon apparitions were roaming the 100-year-old house along with faces in the windows. As the weeks dragged into months, they recruited the help of a clergyman named Father Alphonsus to cleanse the house, upon which they claimed to have felt a scream rattle the walls, followed by a period of calm. However, the peace and quiet lasted only a few days before the spirits returned in full force, forcing the devastated Dandy family to move out 13 months later in October of 1974. The house has chewed through a few more families since then. None of them stayed for long, but nobody knows what they saw. The house couldn't sell and fell into a state of disrepair until 2015, when a paranormal investigator named Daniel Clace purchased it for him and his team to conduct their research. Daniel is an author, speaker, and paranormal documentary maker who co-founded the Western New York Paranormal Society in 2012. He has been interested in the paranormal his whole life, and that's why these videos seem legitimate, starting with this one in the downstairs bedroom. These spheres of light could be dust particles, or they could be spirit orbs that appear when the air becomes charged with paranormal energy. One thing that's weird is they are always moving straight up, all of them, and sometimes two at a time. This live camera feed is over 30 minutes long, and not once does an orb move downwards. That's definitely odd. And remember, I said faces are seen in the window. Well, I think this might be one of them, black eyes and all. Daniel uploaded the next video after he let a different team of ghost hunters investigate, a group called the Warriors of the Paranormal. They didn't want to miss anything, so they slept in shifts. One of them, named Bobby Ann, is asleep on the couch when this appears over her. A closer view only presents more questions. I see tiny ears, but the face is blacked out and it has no visible eyes or a mouth. It looks like it could have been fur, but that could also be bare skin. It's not a raccoon or a small dog, but those are the only two things it even remotely resembles. Maybe it could be a hand puppet, but there's no room for a second person to lay beside her, and she is facing the camera with the covers over her, so it can't be her. And it almost definitely can't be a wild animal, because I think even the deepest sleeper would wake with something so close. This is a different view from behind the couch. Bobby Ann turns in her sleep and looks at what's wrong with her arm. This part looks like their arm, but this circled part looks like something entirely different as it raises up then disappears, so maybe it was part of the blanket or something. But this rising dark apparition definitely is not. I don't know about you, but that definitely looked like some shadow person activity, or maybe edited. Either way, I've saved the creepiest part of all for last. Check out this ghostly figure standing over the couch. It looks like a little girl in a dress with her head down watching. I bet you didn't notice, but she was there all along. Creepy creatures creeping in the night, not exactly something you'd want to watch in the dark, but this YouTuber published this footage in August of 2016. The footage shows what looks to be a picnic area late at night. Trees border the area, lights shine beyond, and shadows fall to give you an extreme sense of trepidation and fear. That's when the creepy thing starts to creep out from behind a tree trunk. The humanoid features bony shoulders, a round head, and elongated arms that touch the ground, as if it's walking on all fours. The body is hunched over, the knees bent, and its movements are slow at first and then sudden. It looks like a praying mantis if the insect were humanoid. One YouTuber suggests that it looks like an old crippled man with crutches, while another thinks it's the legendary rake. What do you think this creepy creature could be? Japan knows horror. Here's a creepy clip from the Far East. Imagine approaching a traffic light only to run into this. A creepy woman at a pedestrian crossing in Sapporo, Japan, seems to be in a trance-like state. Halfway through the pedestrian crossing, she stopped to stare straight at oncoming traffic, completely unmoving. Although it's clearly the time to cross, As you can see other pedestrians using the crosswalk behind her, she is at a standstill, staring off unnervingly, causing the driver taking the video to wonder what in the world is going on. Even as the light changes, the woman continues to stand there in the middle of the road staring. The driver passes around her, capturing the woman on video, still frozen in place as they pass her by. What do you think is going on? The woman's behavior is unexplainable. Seems like something might be in the water in Japan. Hungry for a midnight snack? This video will get you over your nighttime hunger. Published to YouTube in August of 2020, Paranormal Nightmares explains, my husband got up to grab a bowl of cereal, and we had the security cam recording in our kitchen because earlier in the day a cupboard opened on its own. We decided to record overnight, but this happened and it scared him. In the video, the dude is nonchalantly making himself a bowl of cereal as mentioned, but when he goes to grab the milk from the fridge, the cereal box moves clear across the counter on its own. Surprised, the man brushes it off, but as he pours his milk, the box moves slightly, and when he returns to the fridge, it slides clear across the counter again, finally falling to the floor. Needless to say, this guy takes this as his cue to book it out of the kitchen. Many YouTubers advise this poor haunted couple to move, while others are more worried about whether or not the guy eventually got his cereal, because you know, priorities. What if that figure you sometimes see out of the corner of your eye is really there? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Malachi James. The clip shows the pregnant woman's blanketed belly, and in the background a crying kitten. Across the screen are the words, "My heart is actually breaking." But it's at the very end of the clip that your heart doesn't break but starts beating rapidly. Redditor Quality Spooky Me sums up, I didn't notice the head popping up at the end of the video the first time I watched this. What the heck is that? The Redditor says her sister didn't even notice the shadow creeping up until she watched the clip back. The Redditor says that her sister is fine, nothing bad happened to her, and no further weirdness occurred in her last week at this house. She did mention, however, that she felt heaviness there, like someone or something was stalking her. Another Redditor, Link Nadeserico, also points out the glowing pinpricks in the darkened doorway at the beginning of the clip, like eyes in the darkness. Well, some call fake on this video due to the abrupt ending. As many note, this was a Snapchat, which may be the reason for the seemingly premature cut. Others think it's a ghost of the former pet, which the Redditor has noted was a cat with black fur. Sounds suspiciously superstitious. When YouTube personalities are filming, they often capture the unexpected in their footage, and sometimes they capture the paranormal. Marissa Rochelle published this video in August of 2016. Marissa explains that when she was filming a back-to-school video, when she left her camera rolling and left the room, she turned off some of the lights but left one light on, and was gone for around 2 to 3 minutes. When she returned, the only thing slightly out of the ordinary was that Marissa noticed her camera had tilted downward. Still, this wasn't that unusual, because the heavy camera often tilts on its tripod. She continued filming. It wasn't until Marissa watched back the footage that she saw this nightmarish hand. Her sister Shauna was editing the film when she called Marissa over to take a look at this creepiness she spotted on camera. When she gets up to go retrieve the prize, you can hear the door close as she leaves the room.
And I did keep one light on just so that I would be able to find my way back in the dark.
After 2 minutes of radio silence, you can see the camera slowly falling downward. As the shot falls below her bed, something to the left beneath her bed moves quickly out of the shot. Marissa says it looks like a child's hand. Shauna and Marissa search beneath the bed to see if there was anything there that might move like this, but they came up short. A child ghost, a doll come to life. What's beneath Marissa's bed? Whatever it may be, my guess is that it's very nefarious. That thing you see out of the corner of your eye shouldn't be trusted. Posted by FingerLongJumping804 to the Ghosts subreddit. This looks more like a gremlin than a spirit. The video shows a man just trying to go about his day, taking out the trash. But as he opens the door, this strange small shadow leaps into view and quickly disappears out of the frame. The guy doesn't appear to see the figure in reality as he opens the door. Redditor Joey Josie suggests that someone just threw a piece of clothing across the room. Others think it's a gremlin. Some who've slowed the clip down note that the figure appears transparent, but perhaps the best theory comes from Pantless Weekends, who writes, "Trash bag was taken out, but its soul remained in the house. Better kick that to the curb too, before it stays for good." If you had a chance to visit a haunted hospital, would you? YouTubers Ogden Paranormal became this haunted hospital's reluctant patients when they stepped into Asylum 49. Published to YouTube in September of 2019, Ogden Paranormal wrote, "The old 2L Hospital is one of the most haunted places in Utah, if not the most haunted. This location was made famous by the Ghost Adventures crew, who have now visited twice due to the incredible evidence they captured the first go-around. Ogden has investigated this place several times, and this time they returned to investigate who or what scared them out of the place years prior." A little background on the old 2L Hospital. As one of Utah's major paranormal sites, the underfunded hospital was without a morgue, leaving the passed away stacked and waiting for their paperwork. Patients have stuck around the place, showing themselves even to those retired folk who resided in and what remained of the building. It's said that sightings of ghost children often precede someone's passing. Others believe that child ghosts are actually demons, and they aren't the only spirits that appear there. A nurse in white roams the hallways, a man dressed in black appears at 3 a.m., and a little girl has been known to appear and then vanish. So who did Ogden Paranormal encounter during their investigation? Let's see firsthand. Granted, this asylum has been turned into a haunted house, so much of the creepiness you see in the video is set up to appear that way, but other things can't really be explained. About 4 minutes in, they head into the nursery, where a creepy old lady statue is posed. They are alone back here, or so they think. Look at the window to the left. Something passes beyond, creating a shadow figure in the frame. It moves out of frame once they come nearer the old lady. Later on, two of the crew see a figure down one hallway. As they're slowly making their way down the hallway, a giggle is heard in one of the rooms. The room is empty apart from some freaky mannequins.
Where you at, Wes?
Later, while all gathered in a conference room, they hear footsteps.
What's that?
Have you not moved?
No.
You guys heard those footsteps over here, right? I thought that was you, man.
During their ghost box session, spirits are responding with frequency. One tells them good luck repeatedly, and one of the spirits brings up Skittles, which had been part of the conversation on a previous visit to the asylum. Little anomalies and disembodied breathing are also heard throughout the investigation. Makes you wonder, are there spirits here? Or are these mannequins about to come? Who you gonna call? Likely this Russian YouTuber after watching this video. The YouTuber writes in Russian, "When I started the project, I did not even imagine that it would get such results. Thousands of your posts about missed moments in Ghostbuster." The YouTuber explains that in past videos that he's posted, subscribers have found paranormal looking figures in the abandoned buildings he's explored. He ghost busts a couple of these myths, showing that looks can be deceiving. Looks to be a white figure beyond in the shadows of a darkened room. Dima explains that it was actually two pieces of white paper taped to the wall. However, he admits that other experiences do stump him. In one estate, something dark appears to be sliding slowly up a doorway in a room beyond. He concludes that it was either a bat rather than something paranormal, or that considering the estate is in the middle of Moscow, something else was on the premises and stuck their hand around the corner to see if he'd notice. Lastly, while exploring an estate, a ghost is seemingly captured peering from under the archway of a room. At this point during his exploration, Dima admits that a chill ran through his entire body. This one appears to stump Dima, and he asks his viewers if they want him to return to this place and try and recreate the scene and its circumstances to figure out once and for all what happened here. Do you want to know? Or do you think the undead are best left undisturbed? A paranormal YouTube channel called Explore With Us goes ghost hunting after their subscribers told them to go back and investigate more at 3 a.m. The first time they saw mysterious lights, but this time they catch even more bizarre things on video. In the 1970s, a woman named Nan Dixon mysteriously disappeared somewhere around this unassuming Nevada countryside. It isn't long until they see what could be headlights, and the locals are not friendly, so it's time to get out quick. The strange lights mysteriously disappear soon enough, however, so maybe it really was just a passing car. As he drives up to one of the abandoned houses that the ghost of Nan Dixon is thought to haunt, he thinks they see a solid black ghost orb at 8 minutes, which would be beyond creepy to see, except I'm pretty sure it's just a smudge on their car windshield. With that said, I'm not sure what this strange 3 a.m. sighting could be, except for a phantom face slowly slinking away in the dark room. The battery to some of their camera equipment goes out after this strange sighting, and 2 mysterious lights are caught on tape as well, almost like spaced apart eyes under the shelf. Soon their paranormal equipment begins to flash with supernatural energy, and the mysterious lights return stronger than ever before. They see another strange and mysterious flash of light that cannot be explained, and even when they go exploring a different abandoned house that's driving distance away, strange paranormal lights seem to follow. You head outside for a nice peaceful evening stroll when you encounter this, posted to TikTok by Daniela Duque. The uploader says in the clip, "Something happened that changed my life, check." The clip shows at least a dozen people all dressed in white, wandering down the empty street carrying torches. It's not clear what's going on here. Many in the comments are saying this looks like the set from a movie. Others suggest the horror film Midsommar, while some think this group is cult-like, perhaps performing a ritual. Still others consider this is more likely the Purge. Are you ready for it? I'm not. On April 8th, 2018, a group of 7 friends traveled to a large tunnel in Mira Mesa, California that is legendarily haunted. Thumps, whispers, and even the voice of a little girl who may have been trapped during a flood are all said to be heard down there. So it comes as no surprise when they start hearing moans before they even get inside, possibly warning them to come no closer.
Caesar, open no.
They are barely deep inside at all when I hear a girl yelling something here at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. They go further and soon need their lights to see. They keep hearing whispers, but they aren't sure if it's the wind or water, so they are taking extremely small steps at this point to hear every sound. Everyone is being as quiet as they can, and that's when they hear 2 loud footsteps right in the middle of their group that none of them make. Something is standing with them. And this raspy whisper does not sound like any of them at all.
Someone's talking. I'm not kidding, dude.
By now they feel surrounded by spirits, and they may have really gone way too far. They talk about turning around, but decide they didn't drive 2 hours all the way out here to turn around now, and that's when something makes their decision for them. What's crazy is that these footsteps don't even echo. Definitely paranormal.
What the is that?
The group goes running back, but even though they are terrified, they can't resist going a little further and seeing what's ahead of them one last turn. That's when they find an overhead pipe that is essentially small and slimy, and their light explorers above. I think they might finally see a spirit here at 2 minutes and 38 seconds. It looks almost like it's wearing an old helmet of some kind, or maybe it was just his light bouncing off the walls. He returns the next month on May 9th with different friends and even higher expectations than before. Expectations that are met and exceeded. Voices again greet them at the entrance, and you can hear a girl's voice really clearly here after he's finished talking about how scared this place makes him.
Really darker now. I'm scared. Oh my gosh, they can't flash a light in front of my face. It's too dark.
This time they are more prepared and assign someone to keep guard behind them so they aren't surprised again. After 6.5 minutes, something new happens. Technical difficulties with the camera could be from electromagnetic disturbances given off by paranormal energy whenever a particularly powerful spirit is near, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they hear this deep and loud groan exactly 1 minute later.
Okay. I told you I wasn't kidding.
They are all getting really scared at this point, so they grow quiet and press on. They reach the same part of the tunnel where they heard running footsteps before, and again hear something in front and behind.
of the water to like surprise.
Okay, now we heard it from both sides. All right, let's go.
Not wanting to join the ranks of the spirits below, they quickly get out of there before anything more serious happens. I think at this point, after watching two different group of friends going from skeptical to scared out of their minds, we can definitely conclude that the Mira Mesa tunnel is beyond haunted. Both videos don't have a lot of views despite being more than a year old, so the fact that he would drive 2 hours to visit the place again says to me that he is doing this because it's genuinely haunted instead of trying to make a viral video. All in all, there's over half an hour of raw footage between the two trips that's worth taking a look at. There really are too many paranormal moments for me to cover in one countdown. YouTuber X Hurtari is hanging out with some friends in a cul-de-sac when they encounter an angry woman who seemingly confronts them for no reason.
You don't know where I live.
It won't be hard to figure out. You're out all the time.
Are you gonna? I try to apologize. Quit walking towards me. Quit walking towards me.
At the start of the video, he is apologizing for something and tells her to have a good day, but it isn't clear what he is apologizing for. Over the next 4 minutes, this woman angrily rambles at the boys, while the YouTuber tries to calm down the situation. Things get scary when the woman starts to drive off, but stops and begins reversing towards the boys in the street. In the end, nothing gets resolved between the groups and the lady eventually drives off. The question remains is why was this woman so upset, and we may never get the answer to that question. A YouTuber named JackCKXX is exploring an abandoned factory with some friends when they come across stairs leading to the upper levels. Something feels incredibly off about the place, but none of them want to look like the scared ones, so they all move deeper into the complex. They search around for a few minutes and don't find much besides an old picture. The factory has been abandoned for well over a decade, yet it feels like something is watching and following them at every turn. Finally, one of them has had enough and doesn't care about being brave anymore. He looks down a pitch black hallway and says,
"Oh, Jack, I think we should leave."
Now they are sure something is nearby and they start speaking in hushed whispers. It's hard to tell what they are saying, but it's clear that they are quite ready to get out of here. Meanwhile, whatever is watching them from the shadows is no longer worried about staying quiet and seems to be approaching fast. There's nothing left to do except find the nearest exit and get out, but everyone is too scared to think anymore and they remain frozen in place, listening in terror as footsteps draw near. Finally, something scares them into immediate action. They all run as fast as they can and quickly make it out of the factory in less than a minute. I have no idea what could make that noise, but I'm almost positive it wasn't human. The last thing you would want to encounter when driving on a deserted stretch of road at night is a ghost. Shot in Delhi, Aman Kumar published this video in August of 2018. As you can see, the driver and his passenger have spotted a figure up ahead in their headlights, so they approach slowly and then stop.
रहने बाबा दुए जना ना मन कोई मतलब नहीं है मरम राजा आज किसे आ गया बाबा काम मालूम बाबा हल्दी भी है ना रात के.
The figure ahead is moving across the road at a snail's pace. The driver flashes his brights and low lights on and off several times, but this doesn't affect the figure's pace in the slightest. The figure continues to move slowly across the road, and then another figure. The driver keeps flashing his lights on and off, trying to get the figures to move. They seem to have converged in the middle of the road. It's unclear if the ghostly figures start to approach, but the passenger starts to panic. The driver continues to flash his lights on and off, and at the same time backs up a ways. Even after 3 whole minutes, the figures are still there. That's where the footage ends. We don't know if the path ever cleared for these two, but what we do know is you never know when you might meet the afterlife. After Snapchatting, a kid knocked down some stuff with a soccer ball. The boy's father confronts this teen over it. He deletes the Snapchat, but the father wants the police called. He tries to run, but the father grabs his waist and tells him he's not going anywhere.
I'm not filming your kid.
You're not leaving anywhere.
He's holding me up against the
sir.
bikes. Hey, sir in the red hat.
Yes, sir.
Hey, can you come back, please?
Yes, sir. Call him. Call him. Call him. Nobody's touching you.
You hold me up
you're
against the
trying to
bikes.
walk off. You're going to cuss me out and film my...
The guy recording is obviously frightened at this point and tries to leave multiple times, but is always grabbed and stopped by the father. An officer eventually arrives, and after hearing what happened, he says what the teen did isn't against the law and tells him to take off.
So I am going to ask you to leave, and if something's on there, I ask you. I'm not telling you, please delete it.
Yes, no, it's gone. I promise you it's
All right,
gone.
get out of here. Leave the store. Whatever y'all got.
Thank you.
I think it's understandable that this father didn't want his son being recorded, but he handled the situation in a way that made this encounter way worse for everyone involved. On July 23, 2018, a paranormal investigator named Sunny Deeds teams up with Summer and CJ Fashion to explore an extremely haunted location known only as the Bradford House. Sunny Deeds learned of this location from a close friend. It's never been documented before. They don't say exactly where it is to protect the privacy of this small sleepy town, but according to local legend, this house once drove a family to madness and then sat abandoned for the past 15 years. Doors slamming, footsteps, and other paranormal activity made them flee the home. The first thing the three of them find is the doll, scalped with the eyes missing too. Somebody seems to have disassembled her. Hopefully some kids and not a psycho in the nearby woods. It looks recent too. The inside looks like the family left in a hurry without taking anything, just like what the locals said happened. The dishes had been left to dry without even being put away. There's also Christmas lights. You don't do dishes and decorate the house unless you're planning to stay there for a while, so something bad must have forced them out quickly. As they explore the garage, Sunny Deeds' camera gets blurry, even though there's nothing for it to focus on. Almost like something's standing in front of him that he can't see, but the camera can, and the way it goes away as soon as he comments on it is definitely suspicious, almost like the spirit is intentionally doing this to mess with him.
There's a pencil sharp.
Hey, CJ, look at my... What? Just cleared up. I was blurry.
Were you really?
Yeah.
This isn't the only time that his camera mysteriously goes out of focus. He always points it out to CJ, and it always goes back to normal immediately after.
Letting you know it's bad.
CJ. God, dude.
The weirdest incident of all occurs when he is in this musty room with a flimsy floor. He hears two squeaking noises. Listen.
I feel very comfortable with it. Oh, very, very lovely. Alright guys, so, oh my gosh, Sunny.
The squeaks could have been a loose board or something, because the floor is starting to cave in. Still, it's eerie and odd that the camera blurs as soon as he turns and asks out loud what the noises are. And given the history of the Bradford House, probably not a coincidence either. 8 days later, Sunny Deeds returns to the Bradford House on a hot July night to do a little investigating solo style. But even though it's hot outside, an unexplainable passing chill sweeps over Sunny Deeds in the dining room. I don't care how good an actor you are, there's no way to raise the hairs on your arms by will. He decides to try and make contact with the spirit in this room, and I think it might actually work.
Hello?
Before you say this is dust, keep in mind that this is the only orb you see in the entire 20-minute video, so it's too much of a coincidence not to mention. Sunny Deeds says he doesn't want any trouble and takes a step into the next room, but something apparently doesn't want him to go in there. And when he goes to follow the noise, you can see all of the cabinets are open. This must have been exactly how the family felt. But that's not all. At 4 minutes and 24 seconds, this shower curtain is definitely closed. Approximately 5 minutes later, he notices they've been pulled back. When he steps inside, he hears honestly one of the scariest things I've ever talked about on this channel. As he slowly approaches the shower, a voice clearly says "I'm here" no less than 3 times.
Hello?
If this is what the family had to go through, then I fully understand why nobody has lived here for 15 years. All that's hidden in the shadows may surprise you. Posted to the Chills Narrators subreddit, Rob Impulse writes, newest Sidemen Sunday video. It looks like they don't notice this person standing up leaning against the wall. What person is he talking about?
I don't want to do this. I don't want to.
Rob explains that the video only shows the 7 Sidemen in orange jumpers, but around 30 minutes into the video, this guy appears hidden in the dark. Redditor Mitch's Microwave asks if it could be a bodyguard or cameraman, but Rob says the crew weren't wearing orange jumpers, only the Sidemen were. So who is this, and why is he hiding here? I think this one might actually be paranormal. Dr. Lost Syndrome published this video in May of 2014 writing, a little short video where Masky gets some payback for the taggers ruining his hideout. The video follows a pair of teenagers in what looks to be an abandoned building in the wilderness. The building is full of graffiti, and one of the lads starts spraying some more over top of it. That's when they hear this strange noise. The first time they hear it, they brush it off. The second time, they start to wonder what's up. The camera is passed off to the dude, while the girl continues spraying in the room. The man heads outside, looking around the area and shouting hello.
Hello?
When there's no response, the two pass off the camera again, and then again, as the girl goes to check if there's anyone out there, while the man continues spray painting. After painting a bit, the man scans the graffiti in the room. That's when he arrives at the door to find Masky outlined in the doorway. The masked man charges him and knocks him to the ground. It appears the man is knocked out cold. What is unclear is what Masky did with his body. Masky's revenge is certainly not something you would want to think about as you fall asleep at night. And trust me on that one. Some folks are good narrators getting carried away by their own storytelling. This one should have noticed how true her story was. This video was originally posted to TikTok by Briar May. In the video, Briar is telling a creepy story while sitting on her bed, as she describes how her stepsister used to wait under her bed and grab her ankles. The camera pans back to capture her bedroom door slamming closed at the most inopportune moment, heightening the fear of the horror story. But don't be distracted by the sound. Look under the bed. Her room is not empty after all. Is that Briar's stepsister? Or are her ankles about to be grabbed by the true blue monster under the bed? This is a horror story come to life. I just hope everybody was alright. A YouTuber named Teddy Sakavive goes to check out an abandoned house but doesn't get any further than the front porch. First, his friend says that he sees someone's face looking down at them from a window above.
What the f*** you seeing, dude?
Teddy doesn't believe his friend until he shines the flashlight at the window and catches a glimpse of it for himself. It's hard to notice at first, but at the 27-second mark he does manage to capture the brief image of a woman's face, her mouth hanging wide open in a silent scream. What's especially creepy is that there's no face in the window on the first pass of his flashlight. It is only when he passes over the window a second time that the face randomly appears. You may think you're alone, but are you really? Posted to TikTok by Tayasha, this one is bound to give you the heebie-jeebies. On what looks to be a stormy night, the TikToker is walking around an abandoned building when she spots this in the window. The dark-haired figure appears ghoulish, staring out at the passerby. What do you think this mystery figure wants, and who is it waiting for? This has either gotta be the paranormal or a very elaborate hoax. There's simply no in-between. Secret rooms are usually viewed as whimsical, but they can also be terrifying. Tati explains that her brother's room had always had a gross smell in it, so the family brought a guy in to check it out. What he found is straight out of the movie Saw. 2 hidden rooms were discovered through the wall of a storage room on the side of their house. 2 rooms that they didn't even know existed. The rooms were linked to her brother's closet. Once they removed the shelves in the closet, they found a loose wall, opened it with a hanger, and discovered this mini door behind it. They opened it to find the 2 rooms. The rooms are quite spacious. Tati claims the floors were covered with dirt and grime and had been soaked in bleach by the guy. What did the previous homeowners have to hide away in these hidden rooms? We'll never know, and maybe we don't want to. When Reactor 4 burst at Chernobyl in 1986, a 10-kilometer exclusion zone was formed and thereafter was increased to 30 kilometers. The initial steam blast resulted in 2 passed away, while a further 28 passed within months of exposure. These numbers do not even touch upon the total passing toll caused by radiation, and they also don't touch upon the mutations in humans or animals in the area, which brings us to this footage published in March of 2014. The uploader states that the video is filmed at Chernobyl power plant. A close-up of an animal in the area appears to show a headless form on 4 legs running across the railroad tracks. It almost looks like a headless deer. Some in the comments say that it looks like a large deer with the face of a rabbit, or a moose with a twisted neck, and still others say the creature appears as though its neck is deformed and bending towards the opposite side. Mutant or not, kinda makes you wonder what other nightmare creatures are lurking in the area. Forests at night are innately creepy, but this one just got creepier. Published in October of 2006 by the Ghost Hunter, she writes, "What appears to be a spirit moving amongst the trees in this surveillance video, taken by amateur ghost hunters. The footage shows a ghostly, transparent figure moving through the trees from the right side of the shot to the left, gliding amongst the trees. It then vanishes into the darkness. Many in the comments suggest the ghost is too tall and thus this video must be fake, but Ghost Hunter writes, despite comments on this, I would approximate that the apparition is about 6 feet tall, as the tree on the right is about 20 feet. What do you think this figure is? If not a ghost, then what? One thing's for sure, it's definitely something you should keep the lights on for." This not-so-smart intruder's attempted entering was thwarted by a much smarter doorbell. When this stranger attempted to break into this home in Sydney Hills District, where a woman and her child were alone inside, the man is captured on several security cameras, staking out the premises, ringing the doorbell and waiting, before peering into the windows and trying the door handle several times.
Hello? Hello? Hi.
Wrong house, hello. Yeah, no, it's wrong house, sorry.
When the homeowner finally responds to the man's attempted break-in via the Ring doorbell, the homeowner's voice obviously scares the man, who quickly rushes off apologizing and claiming he had the wrong house. There's nothing better than outsmarting an intruder. Hopefully he didn't try again later. What's scarier than being home alone when you think you are, but you're actually not? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Amy Dancing Again, the Redditor explains that she was home alone and making a TikTok video when she started hearing noises. She writes, I heard banging noises from the spare room we use for storage. No one else was home and there seems to also be a weird humming noise. The clip appears to be taken in Amy's room. Although faint, you can hear knocking and banging noises in the background. The strange humming sound could be a car passing or some sort of vehicular noise, but as for the banging, who knows? Can you hear that? Amy asks. Yes, Amy, we can. Time to take a leaf out of Macaulay Culkin's book and start setting up some booby traps.
Creeping me out. I lived here for going on 7 years and walked 100 miles through these woods. Never seen that shape before.
That's the reaction of James Jones after finding a strange human silhouette standing motionless in the Tennessee forest. What's especially perplexing is how James should be close enough to see the person's facial features, yet their entire visage is shrouded in darkness.
It's not a broken tree or whatever. I don't know, it looks like it's connected right there, but it's not. I've been over there 1,000 times.
Even if this was a tree, there's not much of a reason for it to be completely dark instead of the same color as every other tree around. It almost looks like the figure is wearing a colonial style hat. Maybe it's the spirit of a soldier from the Revolutionary War, or maybe they were a soldier in the Civil War. Let me know what you think it was, and if you think James was in any trouble on that day. A diver is exploring aquatic life at an unknown location when suddenly he chances upon this strange creature scurrying across the ocean floor on all fours. The bright searchlight unfortunately obscures most of the creature's fine details, but at one point the camera zooms in to reveal what could be a rather humanoid-looking face, or at least that's what some viewers are saying. Take a look at this part and tell me what you think. At first, I thought this may be some sort of tadpole transitioning into a frog, but then again, I don't think that there are many frogs located in the deep ocean, if any. I did some more research and found out a similar looking creature had washed ashore in New Zealand not too long ago. The last I heard, scientists were puzzled and running DNA tests on the dried up remains to figure out what it was. You can check out the full article by following the sources link in the description of this video. When a YouTuber named Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz claims to have been hearing paranormal sounds from his basement, his followers suggest that he leaves a camera downstairs and record what happens. He takes their advice, and this is what his phone supposedly picks up. The video goes on like that for over a minute, but he comes back and gets his phone. If this video is fake, then I personally don't know where he got these effects from. It doesn't sound like any movie I've seen or any game I've ever played. If you recognize the sounds from somewhere, or if you think this is real, then I definitely want to get your opinion. Here's another video from the same channel so you can hear it some more.
Hello?
A British YouTuber named Scouse Mouse only stayed in his home for 3 more days after recording all of these objects in his kitchen moving on their own. I find the 2 liter of Coke to be interesting because the liquid appears to move before the bottle does. Watch what I mean here. Play it in slow motion and you'll see the contents inside moves shortly before the bottle is launched. I don't think that the contents inside would move like that if it was being pulled by a piece of string. Filmed at the Holy Love Apparition site. The video shows 2 statues in a field backlit by the sun. Those getting the footage get closer to the statues. In the close-up, the statue's eyes appear to be blinking. While it could be an effect on the sunlight, it looks like the statue is legitimately opening and closing its eyes. Of course, there are some believers in the comments, and then there are some doubting the whole incident as well. So YouTubers, is this a miracle or just an optical illusion? It's not unusual for a radiator to make noise, but imagine this noise coming from behind your radiator. The original upload of this video was deleted, but was luckily saved by other YouTubers. The creature who's been living behind his radiator starts to rattle it and makes a squeaking noise, prompting the camera to peer behind it into the darkness. After several minutes of peering and not seeing, the camera seems to focus in on something more distinguishable. An eye at the bottom of the radiator appears. It doesn't look like a mouse eye or the eye of any other small rodent, but rather the eye of a human-like creature. The sound of a monkey erupts. Watch it if you're brave, but be ready to jump. Another supposed Red Room video shows a person wearing a large hood over their face, looking down at the floor. I think the room is in pitch black and this was taken with night vision. After more than 4 minutes of uncomfortable silence, a man dressed in all black with gloves on wakes the person up and begins talking. Try to translate what is being said here if possible, so that we can better tell what is really going on.
Where are you? Where are you? I don't know, I just drive like.
Whatever is said appears to send the hooded man into a great amount of distress. I notice that a voice changer is used, which makes me think this video could be real. After all, whoever is involved would want to go to great lengths to keep their identity concealed. I'm not sure what happened next, but based on the overall tone of this video, I doubt this person made it out of the room in one piece. A creepy sighting of a large unknown creature is probably one of the scariest things to be found in the forest in quite some time. The camera slowly focuses on a figure with strikingly hideous humanoid features on an oversized head underneath hunched over shoulders. It easily clears a tall balcony covered in ivy as it straightens up and glares at the camera, its mouth gnashing. The edge of the dark woods at its back. Notice as it runs how the rest of it looks like a monster. It doesn't look like a person in a mask. If this is a costume, it's an expensive one that goes all the way to the ground. The uploader of this video claims that this is a sighting of the infamous Dogman of Michigan, a humanoid creature who is said to have been roaming the woods for years. If so, then this is the closest anyone has ever gotten to it before. But with that said, the quality of this video would suggest that it's either very old or has been edited. I can't tell which it is, so maybe you can help me decide. Filmed in Canada, this footage has some wondering if this is real. Posted by TikToker Flamecatcher2. In short, it is very real but super rare. Popular Mechanics explains that they are produced by heat plumes stretching miles into the atmosphere and colliding. Only a few anomalies have been recorded prior to this eerie clip. In fact, over the last several years, there have been a number of sightings both in 2018 and 2019. As they become more prominent, scholarly papers investigate how they are formed. This is but one case of it being caught on video, and has some TikTokers thinking this is the most terrifying thing ever. Master Sloth Gaming asks, has anyone tried turning the world off and back on again? Now that's a valid question. There's only one thing scarier than a ghost sighting. A ghost sighting you. That's what Garmets1 claimed to have caught on video in a churchyard in Estholt, United Kingdom. The footage opens on a shot of a church. After panning down, the distinct figure of a girl peering around the corner of the building comes into view. She quickly darts back and out of sight, and when pursued has disappeared into thin air. The shot pans back to the corner, up the building and around, but the ghost girl is nowhere in sight. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or a skeptic, this video will make you look twice. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.